Architectuul is a website about architecture. Not more? No, it's not. It's more. It's a lot more. Exactly. Yeah, it's much more. You're right. What is it about? It's a community. Exactly. What is the Z? Why is it a fly?
I don't know.
Okay. So what else? It's an archive, and it's a digital archive. And the arrow, what does the arrow mean?
It's infinite.
Infinite archive, okay. Yes, and it's also a research tool, and we do research with it. We have research fellows at Architectuul, together with the Future Architecture platform. What does it mean, this? What is? We are 10 years old, exactly, we're 10 years old. So we celebrate our 10th anniversary with a big cake this year. And next year, we're going to invite you to a big get-together, and we're going to talk in Berlin about communication in architecture, and hope you will be there. There's a hashtag for that if you want to know more. And there's a new website, but first of all, Architectuul 10 for next year. And we will have a new website. What else? No. What is this? It's strange. You forget it. Bostjan, you forgot. We're doing films. Yes, Architectural Love is our film series. If you want to see that, there's a hashtag for that. Look for us on social media, Facebook, and so on. Architects in Love. We're going to have a mobile version, also in October, with a new website. And we have an Architectuul map coming up. What else? Yeah, now if you like the video, we're not on YouTube. Doesn't work. Bostjan, what are you doing? Bostjan, it's not finished. Please come back.
I need to work.
Well, we are Architectuul. Thanks for listening.
John Hajduk was invited in the early 80s to submit a scheme for the urban competition for the entire district. And his proposal was considered too radical to implement and at the same time too relevant to ignore. And as a result of that, the city decided to give this architect who'd built very, very few buildings up until that time. He was primarily a theoretician and important educator, 4 commissions in the city. So the ensemble consists of two side wings which enclose a courtyard in which there's a 14-storey, very monumental tower. The courtyard's open to the street, Besselstrasse, and to the park on the other side of the street. So the whole ensemble is very present on the street and to the green space. And each of the buildings has a very specific character looking out. These faces on the outside, and the tower itself also has a anthropomorphic quality to it. Between the buildings and the street, there's a terrain vague. There's a wasteland which was originally intended for development and has never been developed, and which is going to be part of the park. This gives also a really strong presence to the ensemble as a whole, because between the public space and the courtyard of the scheme there is this empty space, which interestingly is right in the centre of Berlin and harks back to this period in the 80s when so much of West Berlin was empty like this and undeveloped. The two side wings are planned for social housing, and the central tower for artists' residences and studios. So you have a kind of idea of a diverse community who all share this collective space in between, and the different characters of the buildings are a reflection of that idea of a kind of dialogue between different world pictures and different views, and it's expressed in the architecture and also in the way that the different plans, the different kinds of apartments are then disposed within the ensemble as a whole. So there's a correspondence between the kind of space that's offered and the kind of architecture that that encloses it. Another level of how these, on the one hand, very obvious and apparent aspects of the architecture actually have a deeper level, something that I discovered by living in the building for 8 years in the 8th and 9th floor of the tower, which is that the very obvious anthropomorphic qualities of the architecture, these faces on the outside and the tower has with its eyes and its hands or ears, its extremities and its central space, that these very apparent symbolism of architecture and the body take on another dimension when you actually live in the space. So, for example, in the tower you have a large square central space around which are disposed very, very small, only 4 square metre, tiny little rooms. So when you live in the space, there is a constant exchange between a space which is almost too large to inhabit, a space which feels empty, and these very compact, functional, monofunctional and focused, almost uncomfortably small spaces at the side. And this is rather like the contrast between the extremities of the body, your ears, your fingers, your toes, which are very sensitive and in which you're full of awareness, and the volume of the body itself, which is mysterious and heavy and contains a kind of emptiness, something which we have difficulty to articulate, difficulty to feel, but which we might call a soul. And you feel this in living in the flat itself. what I've learnt from this building, the architecture does two things at the same time. It inspires you to inhabit it in certain ways, or to inhabit it in ways which you maybe didn't imagine, and at the same time it resists your inhabitation by being made up of spaces which feel too big or too small, or which challenge you to find ways to make them your own and make them into your home. And it's exactly in that challenge, or the combination of the challenge and the inspiration, which I find a very specific quality of this architecture.